Good morning, all the dignitaries. Especially thanks for that enlightening, keynote, Pramod Ji Evle sir. It was wonderful that you have actually covered the entire spectrum of the education policy to, the thrust on Marathwada. You have also very insightfully revealed this theme of Vision Marathwada 2025, and I'm sure not only to the students and the faculties, but everybody in Marathwada, it will inspire all the citizens to actually get better and do more in the Atmanirbhar movement, making Indian economy even more stronger. And thank you, Deshmukh sir, also for your opening remarks and having us as partners in the innovation incubation journey. Good morning, Rajiv and Makran, my co-panelists today. We have wonderful sessions being lined up, and the theme itself is so exciting that how we can make Marathwada 2025 towards an Atmanirbhar Bharat movement. While we were actually conceptualizing this theme, what was actually coming up is that the COVID has made a lot of impact, and there are certain positive outcomes of this as well. What is likely to happen now? It is changing the way highly concentrated urbanization that was happening in India, and decentralization will not only ease out the burden on the metros and the tier one cities, but it actually creates a lot of opportunities for tier two cities. And that is exactly why we thought that it is very appropriate at this stage to have a symposium like this. Also, how the AIC BAMU Incubation Center, it is so timely, it can actually provide opportunities for not only skillings but the idea and product incubation, and from there how we can have more and more innovative startups and disruptors coming in from this region. So I have a few slides to share with you, friends, today. Uh, so while I was actually thinking about this, I just went to wiki this morning and have actually put these picked up these three quick snippets. This one is actually about India, and if you look at the some of the key stats of India, this is about Maharashtra, and this is about the Marathwada. Now, what is interesting here is that if you actually see the geographical spread is actually coming as 10% of 10% of 10%, almost, right? Population, if you actually see, is also coming to 10% of 10% of 10%, right? Look at the literacy level has been quite constant. In fact, literacy level in Maharashtra is about 82%, and Marathwada is at 76%. And if you actually, what does these key statistics actually say is that Marathwada is one of the prominent regions in Maharashtra, and Maharashtra has been one of the most progressive states in India. And when we are actually talking about the new opportunities, new Marathwada Vision 2025, this actually gives us an insight and a confidence that Marathwada region has arrived now. And when it has arrived for the next leapfrog jump, let us look at that some of the key data and statistics. This has also been revealed by our Central Minister for Information and Communication, Rajendraji Prasad, about last week with NASSCOM. And these are some of the quick highlights. We are world's second largest cell density country, and with a huge population. If you actually see, in spite of so much of the mobility and digitization that has happened, if you actually look at so far, we have actually only 45% of the total population that is been on the, so to say, digital journey starting point, right? But interestingly, India has more smart, or rather mobile phones, than toothbrushes today, right? Per capita, and that actually says it all. But in spite of we being second largest cell density, friends, if you actually see the education, healthcare, agriculture, these sectors have 1% of penetration, right? Users are using smartphones, smart technology, but the businesses, their way of life is yet to be fully impacted or made it inclusive with these industrial sectors, and there's a huge opportunity there. We see a lot of electronic trade moving into retail commerce, but India even now is total 2% of the total retail trade is actually only happening on the mobile commerce. And that again is a huge gap, and there's a potential. What is interesting, and this was also one of the pickup points for me, is that if you actually look at CHR 55%, Indian local regional languages are actually springing up. So if you look at the total user base, half of that is actually the Indian languages. What it means is, when you're using your smartphones, you're using maybe a social communication platform, people are getting more glued, hooked, and preferring their local languages, right? So if you're chatting with your friend, you are more comfortable to actually share your thoughts and jokes probably in maybe Marathi, and that actually gives you more connect and engagement. So there's a huge market up there, and almost 88% of our population is non-English speaking. If you further divide that with the regional languages, friends, the reason why I'm saying this is that when post-COVID, the world is going towards digital, and digital transformation has accelerated. So what we would have achieved in next 5 years, probably we are likely to achieve that in next 6 months. Right? Look at education sector for that matter. The online education is reality, and it has happened probably in the fastest ever way than we could have imagined. Be it school, colleges, even private tuitions, everything has gone live. Right? Today, this event itself is a testimony that we are not physically meeting in an auditorium, but all of us are actually hooked up on a online video platform, and we are doing this conference online. Now, see the adoption of digitization and how we have carried on with life in spite of this pandemic has hit the world and hit India as well. Let's take a clue from there. What is happening is, with this data growing exponentially, these are some of the statistics which are actually coming from the last 6 months data. Particularly, if you look at internet users in India, has surpassed now 500 million population. And COVID has actually made people adopt digital and internet more and more. So we have 450 million users are on smartphones, and that's quite an incredible number. And that actually again validates that we are the second largest teledensity country. And one of three is actually watching online videos from these smart devices, right? So you have a wide variety of that is actually coming up with how people are engaging themselves, whether it is learning, communicating, or entertaining themselves. So a lot of things are changing around. And if you see what industry is actually looking for, is more and more innovation that is happening in what we call as the digitized world. So newer and newer gadgets, devices, networks are coming. Sensors are making devices, plants, products more smart. Digitized services are emerging. That also has some positive and also some significant impact on these three elements. How Deloitte describes is that the workforce, and workplace. And if you actually look at this, it is very important to understand that work. I mean, if you look at that, what can be automated? We have some eminent speakers from manufacturing coming in, and they'll tell you last maybe 10, 20 years, how manufacturing has undergone a rapid change from industrialization to automation to robotics. And, the virtual reality is now coming a reality of the day. So automation has been introduced. There's so many things that are actually being done by advanced technology, digital technology, that has a huge impact on the workforce. So you can solve tomorrow's problems with yesterday's solutions. And that saying is so true now, that if you are not a technologist, it will be very difficult for you to survive. So what are those future technologies? What are those future skills that are required by the industry, so that the students and professors can equip and skill themselves with that, universities, institutions can adopt that, and the future workforce can be built up to align with this progressive movement. And most importantly, the workplace. With automation, digitization, online, and virtualization, workplaces are going to be drastically changing. You may not be required to go to workplace for everything in a conventional manner how you were doing few years back. So sitting remotely, how you can navigate in what we call as a future cities. Using your AR VR, probably sitting at home, you can experience everything, whether it is your workplace, whether it is any interaction engagement that you're doing with government or your supply side ecosystem, consuming services and so on, right? So today when we are watching a movie at home on Netflix, we order food from maybe Zomato or Swiggy, we're enjoying good parties, and then people are actually getting on probably a Zoom and a WebEx call for also celebrations nowadays, right? Because the life goes on. The reason I'm giving these examples is that see how digital technology is changing every aspect of life. 25 years back, in maybe Hollywood movies like Terminator, we thought that this was a fiction, but it has become reality of today. And that is why it is all the more important that why we have the thrust on innovation. As Yevele sir very rightly pointed out, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, and in manufacturing, especially automotive, has been some of the key industry focus for Marathwada region. And let's look at this one infograph that actually talks about the map of the manufacturing output globally. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is if you look at the role, or rather the size of the market of manufacturing output, China, US, and Germany all put together, very dominant share. And India, if you actually look at emerging and rising high, we have all good reasons. I mean, this is little a year old infographic. Today, what has happened post pandemic is that India is suddenly coming on rise, and there are a lot of industry analysts who are predicting that India is likely to grow more and faster than what were the earlier forecasts. So if you look at the China is also losing their perception value in the world market. A lot of electronics and manufacturing supply and component base is shifting out of China, is actually going elsewhere, and India is becoming one of the most preferred destination. But when they are coming in, they're not going to be coming in the form of conventional manufacturing, and where people are actually, workers are going to the workplace as probably, 9 to 6 kind of a one shift job. It's not going to be that. Most of these, technology companies are coming in, they're looking at building smart and digitized products and digitized services for a real-time engagement with their users. So it would not be manufacturing a conventional car, but something like Tesla, which is a connected car, autonomous vehicle, a completely digitized product, right? And in that is why we cannot separate now whether it is agriculture or manufacturing or any other industrial sector without digitization, right? And just to give that example, look at what car is this, and probably there's no driver, there's no steering wheel. It's an autonomous car's illustration. You're sitting face to face and having a chat in the car. But my friends, this is not just a car, right? What is this? Is if you look at in this car, inside the car, these are some of the technological components that are debundling this car with innovation. And most of the it might not be very readable slide, but just the point I'm making is that if you look at infotainment inside the car, if you look at battery management of a connected vehicle or an autonomous vehicle, it's a very different kind of a system. GPS signaling, where you are actually looking at a navigation system and all of that. 80% of these systems are actually being built by startups and innovators, and are not necessarily being built by the large manufacturing companies. Manufacturing companies are now becoming more and more of a consumers of the innovation and incubation, and that is the reason why I said it is very timely that what Baba Saheb Ambedkar University has set up as the incubation center in Aurangabad. So what it actually does is that how you are actually giving an input to your machine learning to produce an output which is artificial intelligence based. And this is going to be the new world, how we see it a few years from now. Now let's look at how industry has been changing past few years, from transactions to interactions to observations. And if you actually see, we are moving very fast from transaction platforms to innovation platforms. I mean, if you have to go somewhere, you are not thinking of your own car, maintaining, driving it, parking it, but you're thinking something like Uber. If you're hungry sitting at home, you're not thinking of taking a vehicle out or going in a hotel or cooking, but you're thinking of how you can simply go on Zomato and order something for you. If you want to watch a new movie premiere, you're not going to the theater, but you're just going to Netflix with your subscription, and on a mobile device you're getting on. So if you actually see from transactions to interactions to observation is what is the digital revolution is bringing. And these observations essentially are what we call in technological world is a deep learning, right? Which is driven by your artificial intelligence. And if you are not smart, you are going to be driven by some smart companies and products. So let's also look at, from manufacturing, what could be some startup ideas that we can think of in agriculture sector, right? Look at flying drones or autonomous tractors or texting cows, with some sensors actually going in. These are some of the areas where you can think of your next innovation. And especially if you're an engineering student, you're doing MTech, PhD, you should pick up some of these research topics that can help you not just complete your project as an academic requirement, but it can actually make you an innovator. It can make you, think of a startup idea and how you can become part of an innovation ecosystem. In the interest of time, I would not like to go into all of this, but with the AIC Incubation Center, we have been working and putting some plans and some infrastructure systems together, how we can launch these incubation programs and energize most of the young entrepreneurs and aspiring innovators from Marathwada region to pick some of these innovative ideas. And this is probably my last slide. With the Babasaheb Ambedkar University, we are actually bringing in a technology which is made in India technology for data science and artificial intelligence, and it's a truly made in India technology for the student entrepreneurs as well as future edge innovators, how they can ideate, incubate, and launch their products for the global markets with made in India. That, in my view, is truly Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you very much for having us here today, and I wish you good luck. I hope this serves you some thought triggers and you take something substantial from these sessions, and seriously see you at the innovation incubation centers. Thanks, and